is, like, Testing.
Okay, our tech difficulties have been solved. Let's reconvene. So we're ready to take a vote. Can I have a motion to move?
Sorry, can I just ask one more question?
Absolutely.
Chief, are there any limitations or can you speak to kind of the use of these funds? Is this consistent with what these funds are meant to be used for through the SLURF?
Yes, these are within the allocations set forth by FEMA and the federal level. So this is within that application.
Thank you.
Okay, can we have a motion to send this to City Council for approval? Commissioner Cervantes has a motion and a second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Asaraf with the second. Can we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Desmarius,
In favor.
Commissioner Munoz, Commissioner Cervantes,
In favor.
Commissioner G has stepped away. Commissioner Osoroff,
Yes.
Commissioner, Vice Chair Watson,
Yes.
and Chair Donnelly.
In favor. Approved. Chief, thank you so much. We're going to move ahead to an update from the city manager's office.
Good morning, Public Safety Commissioners. My name is Dominica Megridici and I'm the Deputy City Manager.
Thank you so much for accommodating me on your agenda this morning, just for a few updates from our office. As you may recall, and I know that you have a few new commissioners on board, so welcome and thank you for your service. As you may recall, the city manager did her tour of commissions last year, so it's my turn this year, and it's an opportunity for our office to have some face time with our commissioners, provide some updates, let you know what's happening across the agency. And I'm trying to do this across all of our city's commissions ahead of the Commissioner Congress that's coming up in June. So I'll have some dates to share with you. Staff has provided a packet of reading materials, light reading that I've provided for you this morning, just so that you know what's in the packet for you to review at your leisure. Is a few documents that we have established or we upkeep and publicize. We have a guide to doing business. This is a opportunity for businesses that exist in South Pasadena or interested in South Pasadena, might have a cool business idea, not know how to go about that, know who to contact, how to go about pursuing their business ideas and plans. We have our new social services resource guide. As you might know, the city is not a direct social service provider, but we do have social service providers that touch our community and serve our community. So this is an effort of putting our arms together around all of those service providers, identifying the services that are available, and hoping that in producing this to the community, we're also learning about any gaps in services that don't exist here so that we can pursue those and make those available. You have our citywide quarterly updates. This used to be called our major developments updates from community development and from public works. We've taken a bigger lens and a bigger chomp at this one. So this is across the agency, updates that we make available to our residents, to our businesses, to our partners in real estate and development. We also have provided our year in review. This is a document that we pulled together that tells our story for 2022, including our team in public safety, what happened in 2022 across all of our departments in the agency, and a look forward to what's coming is the strategic plan update. This is actually going to be presented and discussed at the city council meeting this Wednesday. The strategic plan has been adopted for 2021 to 2026. We're over 50% done with the strategic plan. And so what we're looking at doing, especially as we've onboarded a new council person and a new city treasurer, is a strategic plan revisit for this summer. There will be an opportunity for the community to be involved in that. It's a good checkpoint time for us to see, do the priorities still align? Is it something that we want to resource? Have maybe our priorities changed in the last couple of years? So it's an opportunity to make sure that we're keeping the strategic plan really fresh. A few other items I want to discuss with you this morning is, you may have heard, and especially fitting with the police department, is we continue our organizational assessments. So we've embarked on organizational assessments for all city departments. It's a tool for us to use in making sure that all of the departments are where they need to be, looking at industry best practices, and working with consultants to tell our story. We have launched the police department's assessment, and we look forward to the community engagement opportunities that are going to be coming up with that opportunity. Next on the docket is the fire department. We're also working with the community services department. This week, we also have the budget calendar and mid-year at City Council, so please join us with that. The budget calendar is an opportunity for the community to be involved with the citywide budget, and we're looking forward to developing a good document towards the end of the year. We also have the city attorney services RFP out. Right now, we're looking for new city attorney services, and that closes on April 6th. So that's an opportunity for any firms that are interested to apply with us and be able to be considered for those services. Lastly, I have a few dates for your calendars, and we will be getting some save the dates out. We have State of Streets, because we're going to be focusing heavily on streets and infrastructure this year. So on April 19th is going to be a joint meeting with MTech for State of Streets. On April 29th, we have the State of Housing, and that's going to be with the Planning Commission. Please note that that's a Saturday morning and ahead of the eclectic, so it's a full day if you're planning on being involved with all of that in the community. So State of Housing, especially pertinent as we have the 5th draft of the housing element out for review, and we hope to be submitting that to the state this week for their review, as well as the fact that we have the Caltrans surplus properties inspections that have been completed. And we want to make sure that we continue engaging with the community on the policy decisions that council is yet to make on those surplus properties, which properties the city is going to be looking to purchase and onboard, which ones we may not be doing so. On May 3rd, we have a library study session. The library has recently undergone a strategic plan of their own, and it's going to be a great opportunity for us to look at, is it time for us to consider site planning and the either rehabilitation or rebuild of a new city library. So this is something that would affect our community far and wide. It's a great opportunity to join on that strategic plan and to see if the timing's right for us to consider site planning for that facility. And finally, as I mentioned previously, Commissioner Congress. This is a joint meeting of all of the commissions with City Council. If you were with us last year, it was an opportunity for all of the commissions to come together to recognize the commissioners that have served and either retired or stepped off their commissioners, to welcome new commissioners, to review across the agency all of the commission work plans, as well as celebrate the accomplishments. That's an opportunity for us to align all of our commission's work and priorities with the budget and with the strategic plan to make sure that everything aligns and everything is resourced for the year ahead. That completes my few updates this morning, but I'm available to you if you have any questions. June 28th. Yes, and I believe it's in the 6 to 8 p.m. time frame. We'll have a save the date going out soon, and that'll be at the War Memorial Building.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dom.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to move to an update regarding traffic safety on Huntington Drive. Chief Selinsky, is that you?
Good morning, Brian Selinsky, Chief of Police. I'm going to introduce Allison Worley, my management analyst for the police department. She has prepared the report and she'll be presenting today. If there are any further questions after that, I'm happy to answer them. And we also have officers from our traffic unit as well.
Good morning, Chair Donnelly, Vice Chair Watson, and Commissioners. Allison Worley, Management Analyst with the city's Police Department. Today, the item before you is an informational update on traffic safety regarding the 2000 block of Huntington Drive. Next slide, please. The recommendation for the item is to review, discuss, and obviously ask questions, and then file the 2000 Huntington Drive safety traffic update. And then the second portion of the recommendation is to forward the item to the Mobility and Transportation Infrastructure Commission for further analysis, as this does fit that commission's purview specifically. Next slide. Just to give you a little bit of a background, Huntington Drive is a major thoroughfare. It runs east to west through the city of South Pasadena, through both commercial and residential areas. The street has a posted speed limit of 40 miles an hour, and it connects Los Angeles to the west of the city and San Marino, followed then by Arcadia to the east. Just to give you a little bit of a continued background, there was a traffic collision that took place on February 17th, 2023, that the city has received some public comment regarding. So just to give you the background of the incident, there was a vehicle traveling eastbound in the number 1 lane at a high rate of speed. The driver did lose control of the vehicle, which then crossed lanes 2 and 3 and collided with 2 parked cars on the south curb lane of the 2000 block of Huntington Drive. So there are 3 basic areas of traffic safety that kind of encompass the proper addressing of safety. The first is education, the second is enforcement, and the third would be engineering. So just to give you an idea of the police department's role in this, the department has increased enforcement and education along Huntington Drive, including the parking of the department's radar trailer in the area, educational signage placed on the center median of the roadway to remind drivers to drive safely, and increased traffic enforcement. Again, Huntington is a major thoroughfare, and it has been an area that the city has conducted enforcement on previously, and we have increased it in recent weeks. In your packet, there was a kind of a summary of collision and citation data in the area. The data covers, I believe it was Fremont to Garfield, just to give you an idea of the entire corridor. Traffic concerns are not typically based on a single block, or I guess block of a roadway, which is why we are giving you data here for the entire corridor. Again, the staff recommendation would be that the item be forwarded to the Public Works Department for the MTIC Commission for their review. And just as a reminder, the item would require the review of a licensed traffic engineer, which is that third component of addressing traffic safety. I know we do have a couple members of the public that are intending to give public comment, but I'm happy to answer any clarifying questions. And as I mentioned, or as the chief mentioned, he is available, and we have our traffic unit available as well.
Do we have any questions for Allison? Okay, thank you, Allison. We'll take public comment now. Is that the correct order of things?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we would take
Let's do
public
that.
comment, and then any more in-depth questions or any kind of detailed or deliberation that the commission would like to undergo.
Okay. All right, public comment?
Aaron Fleming.
Good morning, commissioners. My name's Erin Fleming. I live at 2101 Huntington Drive. That has been my family home for 10 years. In the last 10 years, there have been 3 accidents that have not only happened right in front of the same specific area, they've breached the curb and they've breached the sidewalk. It is a miracle that this is not caused a death or an injury. The accident that said high rate of speed was over 80 miles an hour. The guy lost control and was going backwards. He ran into Mr. Kiley's giant Infinity SUV, which ran into my car, knocking it halfway into a driveway. So that would be about 4 feet. And if those cars weren't there, this gentleman would have hit a residence. 2 homes, one at 2045 and another at 209 something on the bottom floor, have been hit. There's cars that have gone through that residence, and I think that there would have been a car going through mine. I was on the phone with a friend in the northwest corner of my house, which is in the kitchen, and it's the closest part of my house to Huntington Drive. And I heard a crash, and I heard things hitting my house. What hit my house was this gentleman's windshield. Pieces of that are all over and are still all over. And I measured where the furthest piece of windshield came into my yard and through my house, 60 feet from the crash site. So if anybody's standing there and having windshield thrown at them at 80 miles an hour, they definitely would have been hurt. This is a repeated thing. I think there need to be bollards, which are concrete and steel bollards that go down this small area, probably 200 feet, to prevent cars from jumping the curb and going into the sidewalk, because this was 8:30 on a Friday night. I went running outside because I thought something came through and breached my yard. And at that speed, looking at the accident and the photographs from the accident, this would have been, we've all seen situations where celebrities have run their cars through a home and the home catches on fire. And that would have been my house. So I think Mr. Kiley has been a longtime resident and has also can speak to a child's death in the area. and at the crosswalk as well. And this is a conglomeration of problems that we need to have more than a magic bullet solution. This is a number of solutions that need to happen to protect residents. Any questions? Or just that's it?
That's good. Thank you, Aaron. Mr. Kiley.
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Kiley, and I live at 2107B Huntington Drive, which is in the same bungalow court as Aaron's. And I purchased the house from my parents in 1986. So I've been here a long time. I've been able to observe traffic patterns over the course of almost 40 years, I guess. And in my mind, what the situation is that there's a stoplight at Fletcher Drive, nothing else between Fletcher Drive and Garfield. That's a very long distance. There's also a curve in the road so people can get going, and they can reach a high rate of speed and crash into my car, of course. And I think what needs to be done, well, my fantasy is that there are bot dots on the street. There are lighted crosswalks there like they have on Fremont by the library. A number of things could be done. Also, problem is at that there is a two bus stops there. I think you know the crosswalk, maybe not, that I'm talking about. Two bus stops. There's a crosswalk right between. So I've seen a number of times when the bus is blocking a portion of the crosswalk, there's somebody that's walking out and then cars just whipping along. They don't see them. So very dangerous situation. So a light would be nice. And I've seen those multi-agency things where they have the police in the background and they whip and they arrest a number of people for violating the crosswalks and all of that. But, you know, that's something else that could be done, more enforcement. Beyond that, it's kind of a bad deal. I've been a real estate appraiser for 44 years, and we have external obsolescence, they call it, and incurable external obsolescence. So we need you guys to kind of help us out with the, so that our cars won't be destroyed. We have no on-site parking in our bungalow court. That's why we have to park on the street, and we pay fees every year to do that. So anything you can do to help would be appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kiley. Okay, do we have any questions for the chief or the traffic officers?
I'm sorry, before we begin, is there any more public comment? Anyone
Oh.
on Zoom? Okay. Okay. This stretch here. We haven't done a traffic study there that I'm aware of. We do this speed analysis, which is done every year. It's a speed survey, and that shows the 85th percentile of what that stretch is. So previously, Huntington Drive was 35 miles an hour. After the speed survey was done, they raised it up, and this is probably 10 or 15 years ago. They raised it up to 40 miles an hour. And again, that was based on the 85th percentile of traffic going to and from. Typically, what we see is more issues going westbound from San Marino towards Los Angeles. That's where we see most of our issues. Doesn't mean that certainly, obviously, as the residents have indicated, there are also issues for traffic going eastbound as well. But I'm not familiar with any studies specifically, and I'd have to follow up on that with Huntington Drive, or at least that area itself. I know there is a study that we're looking at commissioning at Marengo. That's an unrelated issue. That's still traffic related, but unrelated to this issue.
I believe that crosswalk.
Huntington and Court. Yeah, it's a long crosswalk. So you're talking about crossing 6 lanes of traffic. I know our traffic unit has done pedestrian educational enforcement there over a period of years. We usually do it with other agencies. It's a multi-agency task force that goes out there. That was based off of some complaints 2 or 3 years ago. And we go out there, we have a pedestrian that usually a police officer or a member of city that'll walk through there, and we'll go after those violators. And that was extremely successful in the terms of enforcement numbers. Within a short period of time, we were able to educate quite a few people.
So I just started traveling this stretch of road every Tuesday and Thursday evening to come to bring my son back from a basketball club in San Marino. And last week I saw a lot of speeding. I did see my own speed on the radar thing. I went, well, I have to slow down. So I think it is definitely a stretch that because you can pick up speed in San Marino and then you come into South Pasadena, whether it's tempting to go faster or people just aren't paying attention. I think I can see where the concerns come from. My one, I don't know if it's a question or a comment, is I've heard in regards to the housing element that, we're looking at maybe increasing the density in the Fair Oaks corridor, maybe along Huntington. So I think referral to MTIC for a traffic study makes a lot of sense. I guess my one question would be, what would the scope of that study be? Would it just be tailored to these immediate concerns, or would it also take into account maybe future plans? So maybe we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone in essence. So that was one thought. And then just a question on the upcoming streets meeting on April 19th. Would that be a good forum for people to attend and maybe address some of these concerns as well?
So to answer your first question, the idea of a traffic study would be all encompassing. There's certainly a lot of different projects that are going on with the city right now. So like a balloon, we don't want to push in one side and fix a problem and then ultimately push the problem somewhere else. So as we're looking at our housing element and a city that's with more density, as we're looking at number of cars increasing and off-street parking, we want to encompass all that in a study, and not just in that area, but all the way down Huntington, because all of that's going to be impacted. One of the bigger challenges is that anytime you have a long stretch of roadway such as Huntington's one of the longest streets in the city. It is a major thoroughfare. It's an arterial roadway, and it traverses through multiple cities. Traffic increases, so do speeds. That has been a challenge that we faced for a number of years, and certainly within the police department. The challenging part for the police department is that when we're there, traffic tends to slow down, but once we leave, it continues right back up. So we're looking for longer, more permanent solutions. So to your point, the traffic study would certainly be our recommendation. As to what particularly they look at, as I mentioned, we'd like something more encompassing, something longer term. But we really need to have an engineer go out there and look at what is the best solution for that. We're talking about many different things here. We're talking about speed issues. Some of the residents have brought up the crosswalk design. So there's a number of different issues that need to be addressed. It's not one size fixes all. In terms of the meeting coming up, I believe it'd probably be a little too soon to bring this up at that meeting, just simply because it wouldn't allow residents enough time to agendize it and come up with questions or responses. What I would suggest is that we bring this up. We will forward it if approved by this commission to the MTIC commission, and they'll agendize it, and that way it'll allow the residents enough time to research it and then also make plans so that they can be available to present concerns or proposals.
Any further questions? Chief, this might be better answered by the the traffic officers or even the residents, is there a specific time of day or day of the week that we're seeing more accidents, more citations being issued, that sort of thing?
Well, I won't speak for the residents, but for our statistics, we typically see them during commuting hours. So that's first thing in the morning, and then of course in the evening when people are coming home, the 5 to 6 PM range.
So it's just heavy traffic.
Exactly.
Okay. And then we are talking about something that bumps right up against the border with San Marino. Is there an opportunity to work with their police force as well? So that, or maybe their public works department, so that speeds aren't increasing as they get to the border between the two cities and then carrying over?
Absolutely. That's something we can look at on both perspectives, both public works and engineering, and then of course the law enforcement side. Per our statistics, the intersection of Huntington and Garfield is typically where we see the most collisions. And to your point, that's exactly what happens. As people are commuting back and forth through that intersection, collisions occur. So that's something we can work at with San Marino's police department, doing joint enforcement efforts. And then of course, our public works looking at how we can better mitigate that through engineering design, maybe traffic light phasing, those type of things.
Okay. In the meantime, while the study's being done and then implemented, do you have plans to increase enforcement or to continue to increase enforcement in that area?
Absolutely. So we'll continue to provide extra enforcement. We've been out there pretty heavily since this collision. We're normally out there anyway, but since this collision, we've made an extra effort to do that. So we put out our speed radar trailer, we've put out educational signs, and we've also increased our enforcement. That'll continue as we continue through till the study's done. As you know, there's a number of different extra enforcement requests throughout the city. Traffic's probably the one call I get the most of, traffic enforcement and traffic concerns. So we'll certainly be out there. One thing we are looking forward to doing was when we get our assessment back is potentially increasing the size of our traffic unit to address some of those needs.
Great. Any other questions?
Yes. I wanted to have some more concrete answers for these two folks that have taken the time to come and ask and request. I know how frustrating it can be to talk about, or maybe we'll refer to this other commission or this other group or whatever. However, the problem is right in front of your house, right in front of your property, and that is something so unnerving. So I think if thinking about two folks took the time to show up, I think for every two folks that came, there might be about 20 or 30 that stay home, but they're stewing over this supposedly lack of attention from the city to their very pressing problem. So what I would like to have at this point is to have a more concrete answer for these folks, that what are we going to do about it? What the police could do about it? I know the police is pressed for, it's been pulled 101 different directions. However, I understand your problem. I know this can be so nerve-wracking to live in this peaceful city. However, not knowing when a car is going to barrel in and hit your car and tear up your car and maybe hit you. So I really would like for us, for Chief, and for us to have a more definite and concrete answer with times and dates where these folks can go home and think somebody listened to us. This was not referred to another committee or another group and feel like they really weren't listened to.
Well, certainly, we've already made those efforts. We met with the community, and I know that wasn't brought up earlier, but the city manager's office and the police department met with the residents last week to go through this process. There's a process anytime community members want change within the city. That process would be obviously a first meeting, which we had. We went out there, we toured the location, we talked with them, and then we suggested they come to these commissions. This is the first step of that. The MTIC commission, which deals with street design and traffic engineering, would be the next step. That's why we're asking that this commission, Public Safety Commission, recommend forwarding this report to them so that they can do a further study. As far as what the MTIC commission will recommend, as far as whether it's street design changes or any other recommendations, I can't comment on that. That's not my area of expertise. That really falls under their purview. So in terms of something concrete, this is the process, and that's why we're moving in this direction so that we can get that ball rolling and get it to the appropriate commissions to make those changes if necessary.
Anything further? Okay, we have a motion to review and file this update and also to forward it on to the MTIC commission.
To review and file to the MTech commission. Can you have a report?
With the amendment that we would request a report back once they've reviewed it.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion?
Oh, is that a motion or second?
Sorry.
Whatever you need, I'll give it.
Okay, let's take a roll call vote.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Cacciati, dating myself a little bit back. He is on and would like to be let in. I believe he has a comment. So before we do a roll call, please.
Okay.
Okay, Councilmember Cacciati, can you hear us? Councilmember, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
You're breaking up a little bit, but we can hear you.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we
I
can
talk
hear
on the
you.
next item. I support this item. I'll talk on the next one. Thank you. So I won't talk on this one. I'll talk on the next item. Thanks, Chief.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, let's move forward with the roll call vote.
Commissioner Desmarius,
In favor.
Commissioner Munoz,
Favor.
Commissioner Cervantes, Commissioner Osoroff,
In favor.
Vice Chair Watson,
Yes.
and Chair Donnelly.
Yes. All right, thank you for that presentation. Since we have Michael on the line, let's move right to City Council Liaison Communications. Councilmember Cacciati, do you want to jump in here?
Can you hear me yet?
Yeah, it's pretty broken up, Michael, but let's see if we can get through it. Go
Yep.
ahead.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll try. This isn't good for the public. I've been on the whole, I can't get through, so this is not good for the public if they want to testify. But on my report, I want to thank you, Mr. Chair. At Holy Family now, again, invite you here. There's several hours. We're serving the South Pass residents, about 25%, others from nearby cities. I also want to represent that as I talk to my 34 cities in the San Gabriel Valley, I represent an AQMD. I bring up about our police electrification program. I was in San Fernando City last week, Glendale the week before. They were very excited about it, wanted to know a lot more. Regarding catalytic converters, as I talked to the council members, mayors of all the cities, experiencing the same thing we are. Mayor Pro Tem in Alhambra told me one of his constituents, his district, had it taken 3 times in the last year. Finally, just want to let staff know, commissioners, I have reached out to the care team, still waiting a reply about some of you doing a ride along. So I've reached out, still waiting a reply. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember. And thank you for the work you're doing down there today.
Thanks, Ed.
Staff liaison.
Just one quick update on an item that I reported on last month, just an update on our current recruitment for firefighter paramedic. After final application screening, we have 23 going to interviews. The interviews will take place the 27th, 28th of this month. We have 2 immediate openings that we'll be hiring off this list for, and the possibility of 2 more. This will be a list that's good for 1 year. So possibility of 4 off this list. So,
Great.
any questions? I'd be happy to answer any additional questions.
No, thank you.
Okay.
And Chief Selinsky?
Great, thank you. I have a number of different things to touch on real quick, and that is our recruiting efforts. Right now, the police department is down 12 positions. 7 of those are sworn. So if you can imagine a department with 35, 36 officers, 7 officers vacant is a huge undertaking for us. That's an entire shift. So we're actively recruiting. The challenges right now with law enforcement, it's difficulty recruiting personnel anyway. And then, of course, all the law enforcement agencies are competing for the same good quality candidate. So it is very challenging, but we are trying to move forward. As I mentioned with those